Hello, students. Continuing with the series of previous paper analysis, this time we're going to analyze the paper of Punjab History and Culture, semester 5. So let's analyze what this syllabus is unit wise and what questions have been asked. Now, the greatest problem here, while I was preparing the slides for you, was after 2014. In fact, PHC was discontinued. In fact, 2015 to be very precise. So, last exam which was held was in 2014. So the syllabi was quite different. So not lot many questions I could find out from the previous paper. But yes, I've tried to analyze what questions could be possibly asked by the university. So let's just start analyzing these papers. All right. Now, before we analyze the questions, let's understand the Unit 1 syllabus. Now, they've talked about the First Anglo-Sikh War. They've talked about the annexation of Punjab by the British and the Board of Administration. So, what have they actually asked? They've asked about the First Anglo-Sikh War. Annexation of Punjab means they are also asking about the Second Anglo-Sikh War. The Board of Administration में बच्चे आपका जो है Board of Administration established by Lord Dalhousie भी आता है and John Lawrence as the Chief Commissioner of Punjab, that is also included. All right, so that means First Anglo-Sikh War, Second Anglo-Sikh War, then after the annexation of Punjab in 1849, how Punjab was administered under the Board of Administration, and then the John Lawrence as the Chief Commissioner of Punjab. Right. See, the last I could find was in 2014. They've asked about the achievements of the Board of Administration from 1849 to 53. Now, the question which I am kind of thinking is a possible question. They may ask you causes, event, and results of the First Anglo-Sikh War, causes, events, and the results of the Second Anglo-Sikh War, and then discuss the role of John Lawrence as the Chief Commissioner of Punjab. What important, administrative things that he did during his Chief Commissionership of Punjab. So this is from Unit 1. Now, if you see the Unit 2, they have asked the British policy towards agriculture, industry, trade, and commerce. They've asked about the spread of the modern education. Now, see, in 2014, the only question I found was the history of the industrial development of Punjab up to 1947. But the recent trends which I've seen, which university follows whenever they reintroduce any paper, that they try to give you very direct questions. Now, if you see from here, it is British policy towards agriculture, industry, trade, and commerce. So they can just kind of give you a direct question, which will not involve like so many aspects. They might just say British policy towards industry or British policy towards industry, trade, and commerce. So they will ask you very direct questions this time because it is after 2015, exactly 5 years down the lane. They're going to ask the questions again from this particular part of history. Then whenever you are talking about agriculture after the annexation, there is possibly a question on the Land Alienation Act of 1909 that is important. They may ask you about the Land Alienation Act of 1901, right? Now in Unit 3, so just quickly to see what have we done. Now in Unit 1, there's Anglo-Sikh War, annexation, Board of Administration. So of course, Board of Administration, they can ask you 1859 to 53. And in 53, it's John Lawrence as the Chief Commissioner of Punjab and whatever developments happened under him. And of course, First and Second Anglo-Sikh War, causes, events, and results, right? Unit 2, British policy towards agriculture, industry, trade, and commerce. Now, see here, on agriculture, I told you there can be a direct question on this, on industry, trade, and commerce. On the agriculture, they can talk about the canals built by them, the Upper Bari Doab, or the Land Alienation Act. Now, again, there can be a question on the modern education, spread of the modern education in Punjab. It could be a direct question this time, or they could be asking that what was the outcome of the modern education, or what were the various phases of the modern education in Punjab. So I think this time it will be very direct questions on these topic, right? Then in unit 3 you have the socio-religious reform movements. Now mind it, you only have three movements here. You have the Namtari movement or the Kukka movement, you have the Singh Sabha movement, you have the Arya Samaj. Now if you notice, they have not talked about the Nirankari movement, they have not talked about any Ahmadiyyan movement. Only three movements is what they have put up in your syllabi, which is Namtari, Singh Sabha. देखो नामतारी ਨੂੰ ਬੱਚੇ ਕੁੱਕਾ movement ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ, right? So Namtari or the Kukka movement, Singh Sabha movement and the Arya Samaj. In part 2 they've talked about the Gadar movement, they've talked about the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. So let's see what kind of questions can be asked from here. See, one which has been asked in 2014. They asked about the growth of the Singh Sabha movement in Punjab, and they've also asked a question on the growth of political discontent in Punjab from 1885 to 1914. Now then the questions which I feel can be asked is, trace the growth of Namdhari or Kukka movement in Punjab with special reference to Baba Ram Singh. Then there can be a question, write a detailed note on the Singh Sabha movement and its contribution towards the socio-religious development in Punjab. Then is write a detailed note on Arya Samaj with special reference to its principles and contribution. Then on the Gadar movement, there might be a question, what do you know about the Gadar movement? Account for its failure. So in the social religious reform movements, Namdhari, Singh Sabha, Arya Samaj, they can be direct questions on them, on their contribution, on their principles, on their achievements. Then there could be a direct question on Gadar movement and also on its failure. Now regarding the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, it also is a part of the non-cooperation. So sometimes questions can be asked in unit 4 also. So you have to be careful that you have to complete your syllabus, and sometimes certain topics are asked in different sections. So be very careful about this, right? Right now is in unit 4, which is the last unit, we'll be talking about the Gurudwara reform movement. We'll be talking about the contribution to freedom struggle, non-cooperation, Hindustan Socialist Republican Association and the Quit India movement. Now, although there are certain things which have not been added, but because whenever we talk about the non-cooperation, there can be a question on the civil disobedience movement as well. And Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, because it was the brainchild of Bhagat Singh, so obviously this becomes an important question if you are studying the Punjab history and culture. Right? Now, see this question, that is, write a detailed note on the Amritsar massacres of 1919, which is Jallianwala Bagh. Originally, it is the part of the 3rd unit, but sometimes it can be asked in the 4th unit as well, because you have non-cooperation in the 4th unit. So, Amritsar massacres of April 1919. Then is what has been the Punjab response to non-cooperation movement. That means बच्चे non-cooperation movement ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋਗੇ, but ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਕੀ response ਰਹੀ, you will typically talk about that. Then discuss in detail the Gurdwara reform movement with special reference to various morchas, or what do you know about the growth of the Gurdwara reform movement. Then the other question which can come is, write a detailed note on the Bhagat Singh, the role of Bhagat Singh in the freedom struggle with special reference to Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. Discuss Punjab's response to civil disobedience movement. Discuss in detail the Quit India movement and its impact on the freedom struggle. So, this is this is what I've analyzed. The kind of unit you have and the kind of questions which can come, right? So thank you so much for watching this video. Shine like a star, and once you know how you have to prepare, what you have to do Now there's no shortcut to hard work. So start working hard, and I'm sure you'll shine like a star. With that positive note, thank you so much for watching this video, and do comment anything else that you want to see on this channel. Thank you so much, and take good care of yourself.